Well, we're back then for second half independent off-tube studio commentary from the game at the Etihad and Manchester City against Inter Milan. It's a 0-0, but it was an entertaining 0-0 in the first half. Plenty of chances and quick possession, so hopefully that will convert into some goals in this second half. Manchester City have made a double change at the start of the second half as they try and just give themselves that little bit more of an edge to try and really take it to Inter Milan. So I'll just run you through the 2-11s very quickly. It's Edison in goal for Manchester City, a back four of Rico Lewis, Manuel Akanji, Ruben Diaz and Josko Gvardiol. It's Rodri and Ilkay Gundogan as the two holder midfielders, with Kevin De Bruyne going off. The three ahead of them are Jack Grealish, Bernardo Silva and Phil Foden, who now comes on to replace Savinho. Erling Haaland remains as the front man. No changes for Milan, so it is Jan Sommer in goal, a back three of Jan Pisek, Francesco Acerbi and Alessandro Bastoni. The two wide men are Matteo Darmian and Carlos Augusto. The three in midfield are Nicolo Barella, Hakan Çalhanoğlu and Piotr Zielinski, with Mehdi Taremi and Marcus Thuram as the two up front. It's myself, Paul Szczerbakowicz and James Smedley taking you through the action. James, it was a decent first half, but both sides could say they just lacked a little bit in front of goal.
Absolutely, I think that's the key word there, lacklustre in front of goal. There are chances for either team, half chances I will say, probably the most clear-cut being Kevin De Bruyne's cut back to Bernardo Silva, which he couldn't quite get any contact on the ball. And then for Inter, they had that Thuram chance where he just skewered the ball off his left boot and it deflected off a teammate and out for a goal kick. And other than that, I think both teams haven't really created enough clear-cut chances, so I don't want to say the finishing's been poor, maybe for a couple of individuals, Thuram being the main one. But really they just need to carve out those more decisive chances if they want to go ahead.
The finishing's not been great, but there's not actually been that many chances to see the finishing, because I think both sides would say that they've not really had as many opportunities to create those chances, but we'll hopefully see a little bit more in the second half. It's actually been a very quiet evening in the 8 o'clock Champions League games. There's only the one goal so far, which was Celtic leading against Slovan Bratislava. The other three games all remain goalless. As Inter now play out from the back, it's a long clearance this time though from Bisek up towards the half, and it's over the head of Thuram, it's over the head of Taremi as well. Nearly miscued there by Akanji, but he does get the ball to Rico Lewis. He stumbles, but it just about manages to get a pass into Rodri, and City now into the Inter half with Ilkay Gundogan. About 40 yards out from goal, pinging the ball out towards the right-hand side. Bernardo Silva takes it down on the chest. He's got Carlos Augusto for company, gets it into Rico Lewis. Now it's with Foden. Foden going for goal, and it hits that stanchion post behind the goal. About a yard, maybe yard and a half over the bar, but that's a bit better from City, just a bit more direct.
Absolutely, I think that's something that Foden does offer this Guardiola side that maybe players like Savinho or other wingers they do have maybe don't, in that he does play wide, but he drifts into that more central area, and that just creates a little pocket of space for him. And we've seen him score so many goals from range last season, and he nearly added to his catalogue there, but his strike just spiralling over the crossbar. But if he can keep getting into positions with space like that, then you can't imagine that a goal won't be too far away.
You know how good Phil Foden can be on that left foot, as Kyogo Furuhashi now makes it 2-0 for Celtic against Slovan Bratislava. So that's still the only game in the 8 o'clock kickoffs that's seen any goals. Just to remind you, in the earlier kickoffs today was 0-0 between Bologna and Shakhtar, and Sparta Prague beat Salzburg by 3-0. As Inter now trying to get the ball away from their own penalty. That's a couple of times we've seen now at the start of the second half. They're not afraid to try and play a long ball. Maybe that's something that Inzaghi has told them at half-time. There's a bit of a strong challenge there on Çalhanoğlu, and the visitors have themselves a free kick on the halfway line.
They do indeed. Çalhanoğlu going to feel that one in the morning, I assume. It's just on his thigh, so he's giving that a quick rub so he doesn't maybe get any sort of injury, muscular injury. He's getting on a bit now, 35 I believe he is, so he's clearly an experienced player, and he didn't want to take a free kick there, just allowing Inter to, maybe have a little additional breather after the half-time break. So Inter were back with the ball in possession, which they've had a fair bit of, to be fair to them. They have.
They've probably seen a bit more of the ball than I was expecting in this game, and whether that's down to them being a bit more organised than what we gave them credit for, maybe City just not quite being at the races. I think it might be a combination of the two. But Barella, who really has been all over the pitch for Inter this evening, a real captain's performance from him, just getting involved in a little bit of this slow possession. Zielinski's now having to go back into his own box as well. City pressing further and further forward, but now Barella just in a little bit of a rush there. Commentators curse, I will say, how good he was for Inter, and then he just plays a miscued pass that goes straight out for a throw, and City now back in possession here with Josko Gvardiol. Back to Ruben Diaz, only player on a booking in this game. Rodri, so again Inter trying to play a high line just like City were doing for long spells in the first half. Grealish trying to find some space here on the left hand side, right on that touchline, cuts back into the middle. He's got option here down the left-hand side of Gundogan. Prefers to go back into the middle, though, for Akanji. Now Rico Lewis back in towards Manuel Akanji. Centre players just operating in a very narrow corridor here inside the Inter half. Rodri now just being held there by Kalanoglu, and the referee, I think, wanted to give City the advantage, but does give the free kick. Just to remind you, it is Glenn Nyberg from Sweden who is our match official this evening. But, City, you can tell they are just trying to exert a little bit more dominance at the start of this second half.
They are indeed. You know, they're playing the ball around nicely, but so too are Inter. And I think Simone Inzaghi is going to want to convey the message that Inter should just keep playing the way they're playing. Don't, succumb to playing on the back foot and playing long balls, because that does just play into Man City's hands. But yeah, City win another free kick here, and they are slowly just encroaching into the Inter half. Yeah,
a bit of a clumsy one there from Bastoni. And this will be a good chance here for Manchester City. It's well over on the right-hand side, but certainly a good angle here for a cross. They've got a couple of players who could certainly do some damage here, right or left-footed, depending on what they want to do here. Already we can see Ruben Diaz and Manuel Akanji getting into the penalty area as well. Will certainly be a good target here for any cross. Rodri is lurking there, as well as, of course, the main man, Haaland. Let's wait and see who takes this free kick here. They've got Gundogan and Bernardo Silva. Foden's there as well, but it looks like he's just a little bit further away from it, so it's likely to be Bernardo or Gundogan. It's taken short between Bernardo Silva and Gundogan goes on the run. He fires the ball into the 6-yard box. Just too many Inter bodies in the way. And I just think with the height that City have, he probably was inviting a cross. Playing one along the ground, it was probably a bit easier for Inter to deal with in the end.
Yeah, I think playing a low cross with pace like that from Gundogan isn't a bad idea, but Inter have 11 men in the box there, so it's always going to be difficult to pick out a target man like Erling Haaland, who was just floating at the back post. Maybe a little dinked ball over the top would have been better, but Inter breaking forward here.
They do, they win it back, and they're on the counter-attack here. It's a great opportunity. Pushing forward now, pass over towards Darmian, who breaks into the penalty area. Is he going to go for goal himself? Oh, what is he doing? It's a back heel from Matteo Darmian when he broke into the box, and then Thuram, desperate to try and win the ball back for Inter, clatters into Jack Grealish and gives the free kick away. But I'll tell you what, there's Premier League teams that could play Man City 2 or 3 times in the league and they won't get this many opportunities to counter, and Inter are just wasting them time and again.
Yeah, it was a brilliant chance for Darmian there.
Should be shooting there.
I don't know what you summed it up best. I don't know what he's doing. I mean, Barella's making a supporting run, but it's only in an attempt to kind of draw away Ruben Diaz. Inzaghi's on the touchline. He's absolutely furious, quite rightly so, because that is a golden chance, the most clear cut we've seen all day. What I will say is maybe he was put off a little bit by the onrushing defender, but he should be just taking one touch, maybe two, and then firing that low and hard into the bottom left-hand corner, because Ederson was maybe caught a little bit by surprise on his back foot, and that was a prime shooting chance. And if maybe that had fallen to a more clinical player, Inter would find themselves 1-0 in front.
Well, they would do. I think that Jack Grealish is, although he gets tangled here with Thuram, I actually think it's Thuram treading on Jack Grealish's hand that's caused City's number 10 the most pain there. And yeah, he's holding his left wrist there. That's a painful one. So Thuram's a big lad, and if he steps on you with his boots, so you're really going to feel that one. And Grealish picks himself up now. He should be okay to carry on, but that's certainly the most animated we've seen Simone Inzaghi in this game. To say I'm not brilliant with my Italian, but I can assume what he was saying there. He was absolutely furious because he could see that his side were in a position to try and shoot a goal, and Darmian, I don't know if he just got to rush ahead. He's a defender, is suddenly in the opposition penalty area, but he should have had a bit more composure there.
Absolutely. I mean, that is a prime chance, as we've said, the most clear we've seen all game, and you do worry maybe sometimes as a professional, when you've sat deep and you haven't had too many chances, and then all of a sudden one does fall to you. But Man City on the attack here.
Well, they are. They were only on the attack because Inter were playing out from the back, and they give the ball away inside their own penalty area. And now it's Manchester City who are guilty of wasting a golden opportunity, really. Say, Inter started the second half a couple of times. They weren't afraid to clear it, but this time Jan Sommer plays a bit of it's not the best pass to Bastoni, and Bastoni there has no idea what to do. He just turns and plays it straight in towards Foden, and then the ball ends up with Grealish, and he makes a bit of a mess of it.
Yeah, he's a lucky boy there, Bastoni, because that half-hearted pass looking for Barella was an absolute shocker, and Foden, if it wasn't for a crucial interception by a Serbi, would have found himself on the score sheet coming on as a half-time substitution. But as it stands, both teams now a bit wasteful in front of goal, but Inter Milan coming forward again.
They are, and it was a challenge there from Akanji, and he couldn't quite get the ball the second time, and Thuram has taken advantage. It's a decent run from Thuram. He gets to the edge of the area, tees it up for Barella, who's made a bit of a mess of that. I take it back, it wasn't Barella, it was Piotr Zielinski who's tried a very audacious outside of the boot strike, and in the end it's not a pass, it's not a cross, and again more animation there from Inzaghi, because he knows that his side are getting more attacking position than he probably bargained for this evening, and they're not using it.
Well, that's twice now where Inter have been in a really good position attackively. It's Thuram that time who's guilty of being a bit wasteful. He cuts it on his right foot, and maybe from a neutral perspective we want to see a bit of excitement, but I think he should be absolutely leathering that ball towards the top corner, because they've not really had any shots. They've had a lot of space in behind this Man City defence, which a lot of teams don't really get, as you mentioned, and with that space you've got to take a few risks, and playing the ball back there to your teammate in Zielinski is only going to put him in a more pressurised spot. And I'm not saying he shouldn't have had that shot there, Zielinski, but he certainly maybe shouldn't have tried it with the outside of his boot from 35 yards out.
Yeah, it's to say it would have been the goal of his career if it had got in, but it's always the odds are against him there, really. As a bit of a hopeful ball then from Guardiola. Doesn't reach its target. It's picked off here by Carlos Augusto, and he's off down the left-hand side trying to take on Rodri for pace, and he does get past Rodri for pace, and then Rodri must have given a free kick away there, surely. I was I'm certainly no Inter fan, but I must think that, to me, I was quite surprised that the referee didn't give a free kick there. Rodri seemed to be leaning on the Inter man, but City won't mind. They're off on the attack now themselves here with Rico Lewis down the right-hand side. Leaves it here for Phil Foden. Foden into Gundogan. Bernardo Silva with his arms aloft on the right-hand side. He's completely unmarked. That whole right wing is his, but City go down the left here with Grealish. He plays it back in towards Gundogan. Square now to Rodri. Pings the ball over towards the right-hand side. Taken down here by Bernardo Silva. Being blocked here by Zielinski. Goes back in towards Akanji. And eventually the ball played back towards Ruben Diaz. But City still at the edge of the Inter penalty area. Bernardo Silva into Akanji. Rodri plays it first time into Grealish. He's in a more central position this time. Can't quite get the ball out of his feet as quickly as he would have liked. Is he going to get his side a free kick there? Well, the referee's being consistent. He's allowed a little bit of physicality. And now it's Inter on the counter. But Barella and Çalhanoğlu get in each other's way. And City at least... Inter at least get the consolation prize of a free kick on the halfway line. But City will straight away point to what they felt should have been a free kick for them outside the Inter's penalty area.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of tit for tat there from the referee, because that Rodri one, as you mentioned, we were certain was a foul, and I think that one on Grealish there was also a pretty contentious decision. But
well, the Grealish foul for me is a lot more obvious than the Barella one, where essentially Gvardiol puts his hands on him and Barella just falls over, whereas Grealish for me really was tripped up, as Celtic make it 3-0 now against Slovan Bratislava. It's Engels from the penalty spot making it 3-0, but it's still goalless between Club Brugge and Borussia Dortmund, and it's still goalless between PSG and Girona. And here at the Etihad, 58 minutes gone, unofficial independent off-tube studio commentary. It is also goalless, but I'd be very surprised if this game finishes 0-0. I just think there's enough attacking intent from both teams that we are going to see a goal.
Absolutely. I mean, both teams could probably have had one or two themselves, and I think as this game goes on, tired legs begin to set in. Maybe there'll be even more space for both teams to attack. That being said, Inter have been really, really good defensively, I've thought. I think out of the two teams, it's been Man City that have looked quite nervous at the back. They've given away a lot of loose balls. They've allowed Inter Milan to play some quick 1-2s and get forward. And I think, they'll count themselves lucky, Pep Guardiola's men, to not be behind here. But at the same time, I think the more clear-cut the chances have fallen to Man City.
They have. I think that City have probably been surprised with how open Inter have been at times, but at the same time there has been a lot of good defensive organisation from Inzaghi's side. And they're in possession now, trying to push into the Manchester City half with Çalhanoğlu now back towards Captain Barella. Now Zielinski, that midfield trio there, exchanging some short passes, but there's not much room for manoeuvre here for Inter, because City once again are playing a very high offside line. So any kind of long ball or diagonal ball is going to be tough here, as Bastoni plays one along the ground and he picks out Çalhanoğlu. And there is some space here now as he goes over towards the right-hand side. It's with Bissac in towards the penalty area. Darmian plays one into the... Well, I was going to say he plays into the 6-yard box. He doesn't. He plays it pretty much towards where the penalty spot is. If that ball from Darmian had gone into the 6-yard box, and Thuram was waiting. But City now get the ball away, and they're now in possession around about the halfway line. But again, little glimmers here for Inter all the time.
Absolutely. I mean, I just want to highlight Rodri in the midfield for Man City, because he's been... flawless again tonight. I don't think I've ever seen him give the ball away, and just there he takes the ball out of the air, just plucks it out of the air onto his right foot, and then he's surrounded by 2 or 3 Inter players, and he just dances away from them, and then gets his pass off forwards towards Jack Grealish, and he's been really integral in recent years for Man City's success, and tonight again he's been really, really good.
He has been. I mean, as I say, it's Rodri's just that exemplary defensive midfielder, real box-to-box midfielder. And to say, regarded as one of the best in the world right now, not for no reason, as Thuram is tripped just as he tries to get the ball away from his own penalty area. Guardiola with the foul. He's got to be careful as well. He's probably had 2 or 3 fouls now, Guardiola, so I think any more, even if they're very light ones, I think the referee would have to consider a yellow card for the Croatian. As it's another goal at Celtic Park. It's a consolation there for Slovan Bratislava. They're 3-1 down now against Celtic, but here at the Etihad, it's City trying to press here at the edge of the Inter penalty area. Sommer's been rushed here as Haaland was getting close to him, and Darmian now clears the ball up towards the halfway line, taken down by Thuram. Thuram pushes forward, just runs straight into Gundogan, though, who then runs straight into Barella. Barella wins the ball cleanly, says the referee, and Inter are pushing forward here, and it's with, there's a chance here now to get to the ball over towards Thuram. Back now with Barella. Barella's ball into the box. It doesn't quite reach Taremi, and it's cleared out for a throw. But City are just starting to look a little bit more stretched at the back now.
They are. I mean, Inter do so well to move the ball quickly up into the final third, and then once they get there, it's like walking football almost. I think it was Barella who was on the attack there, steaming forward, and then he just stops and looks to play the ball wide, which I understand what they're doing. They want to play with width, with the fullbacks and the centre-halves getting forward, but it's just a bit slow at the moment. I think they need to move the ball a lot quicker, get it into Thuram, because he's the real danger man, and try create some more chances. Well,
it's a long throw from Darmian, and that does put the City defence under pressure, but it's a couple of headers, and then it's a volley clearance from Phil Foden up towards the halfway line. Bastoni here leaves it for Jan Sommer, who went a long way out of his penalty. Now it's Bastoni with a long diagonal ball. That's just a free giveaway of possession there, really. I think he was trying to pick out Barella, but it was overhit straight into the arms of Ederson. City are back in possession now, and it's space here down the right for Rico Lewis. Just checks his run, though. Once again, City haven't had that sort of spring in their step. It's all been very sort of slow and methodical from Guardiola's side this evening. Expect perhaps a little bit more of a direct approach, but I think we have to give credit for how Inter have approached the game. As it's now with Foden back to Akanji. Ruben Diaz, 45 yards out from goal, back to Manuel Akanji. Plenty of Inter players here trying to just get in the way, make it as difficult as possible for Man City to get anywhere near that box. Akanji now plays it back to Ruben Diaz, the halfway line. Rico Lewis is having to drop a little bit deeper, tries an early ball to Foden this time, but it's well read by Carlos Augusto, and he goes back towards Jan Sommer. No pressing from Haaland just yet, so Sommer has time to measure a long clearance down the middle. It's over the head of Thuram, headed forward here by Ruben Diaz, and City have the ball back straight away. And I'll just tell you very quickly, in the EFL Cup, it's now Coventry 1, Tottenham 0 after 64 minutes, so more pressure there on Postecoglou potentially. But back into the Etihad, here come City now, and it's Bernardo Silva into Rico Lewis. Lewis's ball takes a slight deflection, and it's fortunate for Inter, unfortunate for City that it doesn't get through to any Man City player, and it's now cleared after a deflection, and that should be going out for a throw. No, it does well there, does Akanji, to keep the ball in play, and all of a sudden Inter can't get hold of the ball right now.
I mean, I've never seen this before in my life, the composure that Inter seems to have in their own 6-yard box. It's Barella that picks up a loose ball that was a decent one from Foden, low and hard, and it's not exactly out of the danger zone, and Barella then just seems to check inside, goes back towards his own goal, combines with his goalkeeper, and somehow Inter keep possession and are able to play it out of danger. But it is really quite incredible, just the composure and the confidence that the Italian side are playing with in their own box.
Yeah, it just goes to show this playing out from the back really has spread right across football, and as you say, the players, the confidence they have just to try and keep hold of the ball. They've obviously been taught from a very early stage with Inzaghi that a long clearance is out of the question unless it's absolutely necessary. I think that's one of the things that's been levelled. It seems like Southampton, for example, is they don't have that plan B, that they're almost scared to clear the ball long, whereas sometimes, of course, you do have to do it as City give the ball away. We're going to see our first changes of the evening for Inter, and Lautaro Martinez and Henrik Mkhitaryan are getting ready to come on. Mkhitaryan, of course, knows this City very well, having had a spell at Manchester United. But it's Thuram that gets the hook. I mean, I would have had Taremi going off before Thuram myself, but looks as though he wants to have sort of two nimble, sort of technical forwards, and perhaps he feels as though Thuram's run his race this evening.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure about that. I think Thuram's been really, really good. Not really in front of goal, but his work rate and helping back with his team has been really, really promising tonight. And I think he offers that. He's able to dribble out from the back. He's able to relieve pressure from his defence. And I don't know whether Martinez, who's more of an out-and-out striker, is going to be able to offer that for Simone Inzaghi.
Absolutely, yes. So a double change there for Inter, just to confirm that it's Zielinski who goes off to be replaced by Henrik Mkhitaryan. So the Polish international replaced by the Armenian international, and Lautaro Martinez is on as well here for Marcus Thuram. It's an interesting one. Taremi and Martinez, I mean, they're certainly not similar players. They have very different qualities, but in terms of their build, in terms of the way they like to drop deep, they're potentially going to be missing a number 9 now, even though obviously Martinez is a goal-getter, but he likes to start deep as well. Yeah,
he is. I do question that substitution maybe a little bit, because Taremi, I've mentioned a few times, he's looked tired from minute 1, and whether or not Inzaghi's keeping him on just for maybe that goal-scoring instinct in and around the box that might present itself later on, I don't know. But I think on the balance of play, you'd have to say that maybe he'd be the one player you'd be wanting to take off. He hasn't played too badly by any stretch, but he just hasn't quite offered what Thuram did.
Compared to how often we've mentioned Thuram, he's also been a bit more anonymous, really, hasn't he? So I am a little bit surprised that Mehdi Taremi has survived the substitution. But as I say, if he ends up scoring in the next couple of minutes, of course, we'll both have to repeat our words. But for the time being, less chance of that, because it's City going forward now, and there's space here for Foden to pick out Grealish on the left-hand side, and Grealish heading towards the penalty area, being stood up here by Damian. Grealish just about getting the pass back here towards Gvardiol, now at the edge of the area, just gets away from Foden, and then it's cleared long by Serb. It is just a clearance, nobody up there for Inter now, because as I say, Thuram would have always been pushing that bit further forward. Martinez and Taremi just dropping a little bit deeper. Is with Akanji now for Manchester City. In towards Rico Lewis. Back to Akanji again. So still no options here for Gvardiol to try and play it long. So he goes to Gundogan, and now Grealish down the left-hand side. Grealish taking on Darmian. And Darmian trying to style it out like he's just going to take a throw on, but I think he knows that he's just trying to stop Jack Grealish a little bit illegally. Then it will be a free kick.
Yeah, you can see what Grealish is trying to do there all day. He's knocked it down the line, put his body in front of the ball, and Darmian just takes him out. He tries to play it off, but it was definitely a foul. He's won another free kick again, Jack Grealish. It's what he's so good at doing. Is Mkhitaryan, the substitute there, who just clips his heels as he tries to dance around him.
Well, he was at one stage the most fouled player in the Premier League, Jack Grealish, and you can see why he is a difficult player to stop sometimes. And I'm still old enough to remember when he was a much better central midfielder than he was a left winger. I still prefer him in that free role in the middle, really, but he's been converted into that left-hand side by Guardiola. Now a free kick here for a City, right-footed Gundogan and left-footed Foden are standing over it. It's on the left-hand side. It may suit Gundogan if they want to send an in-swinger into the box. Referee just doing a little bit of housekeeping there at the edge of the penalty area, and that's what Inter have set up their offside. It is going to be the outswinger from Foden, aimed at Haaland, headed up in the air though by Bastoni, and then a second chance there for City potentially. No, Darmian is going to get a clearance in, and he sends that up towards the halfway line where Rico Lewis, under a bit of pressure there from Mkhitaryan, doesn't want to take any risks and goes back towards Edison. So we're past the three-quarter mark in this game now. It is still goalless, but it's an entertaining 0-0, and it will be James to see us through to full time. Well,
hopefully we can see some more chances being carved out. What I will say is just on that clearance there that went forward from Inter, we mentioned the substitution, and we've just seen it highlighted there. There's not really any pressing going forward. Martinez and Taremi like to drop deeper. They're a little bit less mobile players, and I do think that maybe as this game goes on, it's going to be harder for Inter to play out the lines. But Man City coming forward here, Grealish into Gundogan. Now Foden, this should be a goal, but no! Foden striking straight at the goalkeeper, Sommer. And that really was a chance to open the scoring for Man City.
Well, it's a great chance, but I suppose Inter can just thank their lucky stars that just the way this ball has ended up with Phil Foden. He's having to hit it with his weaker right foot, and that potentially has made it that little bit easier for something. It's not got a bad right foot, Phil Foden, but it's straight down the middle, really. And the goalkeeper saves it, but City come straight again here with Grealish.
Yeah, Grealish roaming all the way through, has a strike, but it's cannoned off of Serbi. Back to Rico Lewis, who's closed down immediately by a number of black and blue shirts. Ball floats to the back post, falls to Gundogan, whose volley is over the crossbar. It was Serbia who couldn't quite clear his lines in the 6-yard box. Man City really applying the pressure now as we move into the final 20 or so minutes of this game. Inzaghi on the touchline is furious at something. He's usually quite animated himself, and there's no surprise to see that he's very exuberant on the touchline. But Grealish there, we're just looking at the replay, he's just allowed to stroll so easily into the box, which Man City haven't really done so far in this game.
No, and I just wonder that he seemed to be pointing Inzaghi towards Denzel Dumfries. So I just wonder maybe potentially he's considering about changing Darmian. Maybe Darmian's starting to look a little bit leggy on that right-hand side, and Grealish is getting a little bit more joy against him, so that may be something that Inter are considering. But on a rare occasion, City do give the ball away inside the Inter half, and a chance now for Inzaghi's men to at least try and get the ball away. Yeah,
Barella plays it out wide to Augustin. And he plays a nice 1-2 back with Barella, and then Mkhitaryan was then played through, but he was taken out by Diaz, who was already on a yellow card, and he was furious at himself there, the Portuguese centre-back. I think maybe one or two Inter fans might be furious at the referee, because you could see him being booked for that.
Yeah, that was a strong challenge, but we're going to see a change here now. It's going to be a defensive change. I mentioned Denzel Dumfries as a right-sided defender. Another right-sided defender here is Benjamin Pavard. They've certainly got a wealth of talent of right-sided defenders there into both Pavard and Dumfries. So certainly absolutely top draw, but it is going to be the French international that will be coming on momentarily. But here come Inter now on the attack.
Ball forward now for Taremi. He's onside, and he plays it ball inside to Bissek, who's got time to put a cross in, but it's a poor one, and it's headed away by Akanji, whose clearance finds Haaland, just about stumbles but keeps the ball, plays it out wide now to Bernardo Silva. Not really many Man City players bursting forward, so Bernardo Silva just has to check his run and turn back and play it back to Akanji. Akanji plays a ball forward to Gundogan, who's been quite lively since he came on, nearly set up Foden moments ago. He drifts inside, plays the ball inside, a sliding challenge from Martinez, couldn't quite intercept the pass, and Lewis gets it wide to Silva. Silva on his right foot plays a nice ball inside to Rodri. Rodri now to Grealish, who's growing ever present and has his strike, and it's deflected off of Darmian and behind for a corner. Grealish getting a bit more involved now, though.
Yeah, he's certainly seen a lot more of the ball. I mean, he wasn't exactly anonymous in the first half, but he really is pretty much City's main man now in this second half in terms of the chances that City are getting and who's actually ultimately having the shots at goal. As they want to make this change now, Inter, but traditionally you don't make changes before you defend the corner, so we're going to see this one from Gundogan first.
Yeah, it's an in-swinging ball from Gundogan on his right foot. A lot of City players in the box. It's quite crowded. He floats in towards the middle of the park, looking towards Diaz, but it's headed away well by Darmian. Mkhitaryan couldn't quite get any purchase on that, so it falls to Lautaro Martinez, who clears it towards Barella. Barella now springs it forward towards Mkhitaryan. Inter have a chance to break, but Mkhitaryan, not blessed with pace, decides to instead go backwards. That was a decent chance. I think something that's really plagued Inter so far this game is they've had the space and they've had the runners, but they just haven't quite had the pace in their forward men to get the ball forward and get the attack moving.
No, that has been an issue that 2 or 3 times when they've got forward, they just haven't been able to finish the run off in the way that if City had that same position, they would be able to get that ball into the penalty area. But to take nothing away, this is 73 minutes gone, and Inter a value for this 0-0, which, as I say, so many teams come to the Etihad with a plan and a plan B, and neither of them work out. But for Inter so far, it has worked.
Yeah, I'd say, defensively, Inter have definitely been the better team, and in terms of the football we've seen, I'd argue that Inter have been the top side as well. But Grealish absolutely wiped out by Barella there. He puts his thumbs up at the referee because he knows that one was a certain foul.
He does.
I'm surprised he's not going to the book there, because that was an absolute clothesline.
It has to be a yellow card. I think I'm getting a little bit frustrated with this referee. The amount of fouls that Jack Grealish has. I mean, it's really reckless there from Barella. It's not like he's lunged in with both feet, but he's body checked Jack Grealish with no effort to try and avoid him.
No, I think that's an absolute textbook yellow card. I'm not quite sure how Barella's escaped without getting in the book. But Inter do now bring their changes on. It'll be Denzel Dumfries and Benjamin Pavard to come on. So you alluded earlier to Dumfries, who I think is a much more attacking player. He's going to be Jan Bissek to make way, and Darmian as well. So interesting change there, because Bissek was almost playing as a centre half. I wonder if maybe Benjamin Pavard will play there. He has played as a right side.
I think if you were to say Pavard and Dumfries coming on for the two players that are going off, I think it's more likely that Pavard will go in the back three, and Dumfries he's probably got more of the qualities of being that sort of right winger that can try and bomb a bit further forward as well. So it's an interesting move this from Inzaghi. He's strengthening his defence, but at the same time giving himself an outlet if Inter do get a counter-attacking chance.
And I think that Dumfries also has that pace going forward. I watched a lot of the Netherlands in the Euros this summer, and he was a really key player for how Ronald Koeman's men went forward. A lot of interchanging down the right-hand side, and he was really, really prominent in that attacking aspect. But Man City do have a free kick here. 50 minutes left of normal time to play, there or thereabouts, and this is a decent opportunity to put up a good ball in. It's Foden with an outswinging ball towards Akanji, but it was just a little bit too high, and the Swiss international was reaching a little bit with that header.
Yeah, it's never really one aims for him, and that one goes wide, a long way wide, as well as now we can see Guardiola is calling over another substitute. We're going to see another change here for City, and finally the deadlock is broken elsewhere other than at Celtic Park this evening. Borussia Dortmund taking a late lead away at Club Brugge. They're 1-0 up in that game.
They are indeed, and Inter coming forward here trying to break this deadlock in this game. Barella coming forward, it's a good ball out wide to Denzel Dumfries, and this is a chance for Inter. Can he get on the end of this one? He's got runners in the box. Dumfries, first time cross, bounces over everyone, falls to Taremi, and it's just over the bar. It was actually Mkhitaryan, the Armenian international. The ball just bobbles in front of him, and that's probably Inter's best chance of the game.
Well, it's a great chance, and it's a great counter-attack, and there's no offside. I tell you what, Ruben Diaz was just a little bit slow coming off his line to try and get in line with the rest of his teammates. Just the slightest deflection there of Gvardiol makes it just a slight bounce there in front of Mkhitaryan, and also the fact that Akanji's in front of him. Perhaps it just forces the Armenian just to try and lift that effort a little bit higher, but it goes a long way wide in the end. And City now preparing to bring on Jeremy Doku.
They are indeed. Maybe a little bit of pace is what Pep Guardiola is wanting from his players and from his bench, and Jeremy Doku certainly has that. He's quite a similar profile, I think, to Savinho. So interesting to see as this season progresses which one will take that spot on the wing. Ball now to another Manchester City winger. Grealish tries to play a cute ball into Foden, but it's cut out in the middle by Barella. Barella now plays it inside to Mkhitaryan. Mkhitaryan out wide now to Benjamin Pavard. The French substitute combines with the other substitute, Dumfries, who then goes backwards to Serbi. Now Barella enjoying a little bit of the ball, and as I say that, it looks like Mkhitaryan's going to play it long, but he doesn't. Kanloglu plays it into Pavard, and we were right actually. Pavard is dropping in as that right-sided centre-back. He has enjoyed playing there.
Yeah, it would make sense. I mean, Pavard can certainly play in the role that Dumfries is playing, but if you had to choose one of them to do which role better, I think Pavard makes more sense in the back three, and Dumfries makes more sense in that midfield, so in that midfield five, or in that sort of right back role, right wing back role. 77 minutes is still goalless here, and as I say, I wouldn't like to call it right now. I mean, I say the 0-0 draw is still very much a possibility in this game, but you couldn't rule out either side still winning it.
Absolutely not. I mean, with that chance that just fell to Mkhitaryan, if that goes in, you think that maybe Man City would really struggle to then score a goal of their own because of how well Inter have defended. I think if they do go in front Inter in the closing 13 or so minutes left of normal time, they will just sit so deep and there'll be no space for Man City at all. But as it stands, Inter will still want to win this game. They've played well, and the more they push on, the more Man City will feel there's space in behind to attack, which they are trying to do now. Ball at the feet of Gvardiol, plays it into Rodri, who was under pressure, so has to go back to Diaz, who remember is on a booking after a clumsy challenge on Barella in the first half. Plays it wide to Akanji, now to Rico Lewis, who has been one of a number of players who've been fairly absent. Then it's back to Akanji, who then gives it away to Martinez, plays Mkhitaryan in, but Rodri does really, really well and then falls over, manages to retain possession, which he typically does. Ball now into Gundogan. This is a good attack brewing for Man City. He's going to go wide now to Bernardo Silva. Bit of space for the Portuguese midfielder. Tries to get it on his right foot, but decides to check back and goes to Rodri. And Man City now seems to be queuing up on the edge of the box, but Rodri decides against playing it across box. Goes back to Bernardo Silva. Inter have now got all the men back inside, nearly inside the box. I think it's only Taremi and Martinez are on the outside of the box. Bernardo Silva goes back to Akanji. City have kind of wasted that bit of space that they had there. Now it's all the way back to Diaz, and that space has seemed to have evaporated right in front of Pep Guardiola's men's eyes. Gundogan then goes out wide to Foden. Foden and Bernardo Silva seem to be almost playing the same position here, almost on that right wing. Foden now does give it to Bernardo Silva and then drifts wide. Bernardo Silva on his right foot goes back again to Akanji. That's been a bit of a theme in the past few City attacks. Akanji back to Bernardo Silva on the right hand side of the pitch. He's squared up by 2 or 3 Inter players. Tries to play a nice ball inside to Foden, but it's deflected into the path of Gundogan. Foden now on his right foot, shapes up for a shot, gives it to Gvardiol. He might have a strike on goal, and it's parried away by Sommer. That was a decent effort by the Croatian defender, and Man City still remain on the attack. Loop ball into the box for Sommer to catch, and Inter just about survive.
Yeah, but it was a loop ball in that Sommer should deal with, but we see this effort here from Gvardiol. Really puts his left foot through it. But it's a good save from Sommer. It's a nice height for the keeper as well. He's always got his eyes on it. He's able to push that ball away. But to say, just a bit of an issue here now, potentially for one of the Inter defenders. So this gives City a chance now to bring on Jeremy Doku. We're just going to confirm, is this Bernardo Silva to go off? It is. So it's interesting. Last season, it would have been quite rare to see Jack Grealish and Doku on the pitch at the same time, because they were sort of competing for the same position on the field. But now, in the last 10 minutes of this game, Guardiola wants both of them on the field.
Yeah, I think maybe what might happen here is Doku might go on to the right, and then Foden plays in that more central role, I think. Because we saw last season...
Grealish is sort of attached to that left, isn't he? He's always going to be on that left.
Yeah, he hugs the touchline, does Jack Grealish, whereas Foden can kind of play in a little bit more direct. Drop ball here, Man City play it back to Jan Sommer. I think there was an injury to a Serbi, but he's back on his feet and seems to be alright now. I think it was just maybe trod on his foot, or maybe a bit of a dead leg, I'm not quite sure, but he was rubbing his foot and he seems to be okay now. And Sommer then throws the ball out wide to Bastoni, who's had a bit of a shaky game, I want to say.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, the 31 efforts on goal between City, 19 for City, 12 for Inter, and only 5 of them have been on target, 3 from City and just 2 from Inter, as once again the visitors playing a very risky game, doing keep ball inside their own 6-yard box with 3 City players lurking, but eventually they clear it long and get away with it.
They do indeed. Martinez manages to get it wide, but it's cut out in the middle, and now Jeremy Doku is released. His first touches on the balls, tries to go round Bastoni, but the Italian young centre-half does really, really well. I think he anticipated just what Jeremy Doku wanted to do there. He wanted to take it on his outside, and Bastoni just dropped off a yard and then was able to slide in effortlessly and clear it out for a throw. And it's going to be another change for Inter Milan. The change is coming thick and fast here. It's going to be Fratesi.
Fratesi's coming on
Fratesi
here
for
Calhanoglu. Yeah, he's run his race. Calhanoglu. He's had a big shift, I think, in that middle this evening. And he's going to go off for these last 9 minutes. I don't expect there to be too much injury time, maybe 2 or 3 minutes max, really, because we've not really had too many stoppages in this game. As I say, we've both been expecting that there's going to be a winner in this game, as obviously as we tick down to 90 minutes, is less and less likely. But I just still think there's enough endeavour from City and enough of a threat from Inter that there's still a chance for one of these sides to score.
Absolutely. I mean, I think if the score remains 0-0, both managers will have a case to be a little bit frustrated that their side haven't taken 3 points, because both teams have had the chances to go in front and win this game. As it stands, though, still 0-0. Inter have the ball again in their own half, playing out from the back, and they do so really, really nicely. I mean, it's just liquid football. I mean, even as I'm commentating now, they managed to make it even more extravagant, but they have now given it away. Foden with the ball, who then almost gives it away back to Fratesi. Now Rico Lewis going forward, plays in Haaland, but the ball was just past the Norwegian striker. He's been fairly absent in this game.
He has. I mean, but the thing with Haaland is that he does need the service. Sometimes he can get the ball from deep and do something himself, but we can't really say that he's missed a glut of chances this evening, because he's not had those chances. Now, whether that's him not being in the right position or whether it's his teammates not finding him, I would say it's probably a combination of the two. Absolutely,
but all credit must go to Inter Milan. The way they've played out from the back today has been really, really refreshing to watch, I think, in this competition, because so often teams play Man City and they just shut up shop, play defensively, get rid of the ball, but Inter have managed to defend really, really well, but at the same time play some really nice football. As I say that, they then boot the ball long, and it's cleaned up at the back by Akanji. He goes forward to Rico Lewis, who I actually forgot was on the pitch, to be honest. He's been very, very absent so far this game. He just kind of fills in that midfield role, but does so very subtly, and can't say that's really a bad thing on his part, because he has done his job. He's just not really involved too much in the action.
No, that's right. I think that particularly in this sort of game where there's been a lot of possession but not too many sort of clear-cut chances one after another, there are some players who are just going to sort of drift in and out a little bit, and City, as I say, their fluid sort of possession means that sometimes they've certainly in the last 10 minutes they've concentrated a lot more on the left, with Grealish being involved, so that's just sort of excluded Lewis on that right-hand side. But here is Doku now on the right.
Yeah, the Belgian substitute drifts inside, but then decides not to take on his man for the second time after Bastoni won that earlier duel. Goes back instead to Akanji, then switches play to Gvardiol. Gvardiol back into Ruben Diaz, who occupies that central centre-half role really, really nicely. Very tidy player. Ball inside from Akanji, looking for Foden, but it just escapes the English attacking midfielder. Now Inter break forward. That's a lovely play. Can Inter release the ball? They do now. It's an attack on here for Lautaro Martinez. Squared up by Akanji. Tries to get the ball on his left foot. Goes inside. We'll have a strike on goal! And Ederson is able to hold that in his hands because there was a follow-up from Denzel De Vries, and he was looming on the edge of the 6-yard box.
He was. I mean, Martinez gets into that position, and it's just where he wants it on the left, hitting it with his right foot. Doesn't really get the power or the movement on the ball that he would have wanted. There's still enough there for Ederson to make sure he's got to keep his eye on the ball, but he was always favourite to save it. Yeah,
I think he's had a fairly quiet night, Ederson, to be fair, but he was very much equal to that strike there from Martinez. Inter, I mean, again, I can't stop raving about the way they're playing out here because it was about 5 or 6 passes and they just moved the ball so quickly up the pitch, and I think that substitute with Martinez just adds a little bit of extra pace and threat that maybe they were missing. But City, it's their turn to attack now with Doku playing it to Akanji. I think all 3 centre-halves for Man City tonight have had quietly very, very good games. There have been gaps in behind, but I think that's more of a system fault than one of theirs. Doku now shapes up his man, but can't quite get around for Tacey, and the Inter Milan substitute does really well to hold him up. Now it's Rodri in the middle of the park, holds off Barella, then plays it wide to Gvardiol, who's got a little bit of space in here, tries to play a nice ball inside to Foden, but is cut out straight away by an Inter Milan man. He gets the ball though, does Gvardiol, plays it inside to Rodri. Rodri thinks about playing a nice ball forward, but decides against it, goes instead wide again to Gvardiol. Gvardiol now to Grealish, shaped up by Dumfries. Grealish takes his time on this one, tries to think about taking on his man, but then a couple of Inter players get back and force a block. But now it's a good ball over to Doku. There's a potential of an offside flag, but the referee waves play on. Ball into the middle of the area, looking for Rico Lewis, and it's not even cleared away. Inter will just now try play out from the back again. Barella this time does poorly though, and Rodri is able to nick the ball back.
He had enough time there, Barella, to get rid of the ball himself. He shouldn't have really been caught there by Rodri. I mean, credit to Rodri that he's doing what he does best, which is to try and win the ball back for City again. But Inter got to be careful there because Doku had far too much space on that right-hand side.
It did indeed. I think they were expecting maybe the offside flag to go up there, but it never came, and City come forward again. Rodri's going to line up a shot from range, and it's just wide of the post. It was one of those where I think on our screen it looked like it might have just had a chance of flying because he hit it so hard. But I think Jan Sommer will have been.
Yeah, I mean, Sommer didn't look too troubled by that. Whether or not it's just he saw it late and there was nothing he could do if it was on target. But I think it was just the way Rodri had just sprayed it with the left foot. It just seemed to me like it was always going wide. Long clearance now from Jan Sommer. Still got 3.5 minutes before we hit injury time. Yeah, now it's Doku coming forward. He's been fairly lively since he's coming on. Finds the ball to Foden. This is a good chance. His strike is fairly tame. It was into the ground, it was bounced, and Sommer was able to collect it. Yeah, it's one of those where Foden gets it, and then when he looks up and sees where he is and how close he is to goal and how much of a clear sight of goal he has, he thinks, well, I'll put my left foot through this, but his body's in the wrong position, and there's options to play it short to Gundogan and Grealish, and I think if Foden sees that replay, he would admit it was the wrong option to shoot there. Yeah, he had plenty of options there. He should have probably taken a touch, and then maybe decided what to do after that, but taking the shot first time as he did was a little bit of an audacious move on his part, and didn't really result in anything too meaningful from the shot. Ball out wide now to Pavard from Sommer. Pavard then goes inside to Barella, who has covered every blade of grass on this pitch this evening, and with the size of the pitch at the Etihad Stadium, that's quite a difficult task, so fair play to him. He's probably going to sleep pretty well tonight. Ball out wide now to Mkhitaryan, tries a lofted ball to Martinez, but it's cut out. Ball towards Grealish was then intercepted by a Serbi and then collected by Barella, and then back to Sommer. Sommer then goes wide again to a Serbi. He takes a little stumble, but manages to keep the ball. Back to Sommer again, into playing it fair. They seem to have got more risky with the ball in their own box as the game has gone on, which is quite surprising. Whether it's that or it's just they're starting to feel a little bit tired and they're just sort of not being as sort of clear cut as they should be, because a couple of occasions that they are really taking really big risks and they give the ball away in midfield anyway. They do indeed. Gvardiol picks it up as he's done plenty of times so far this game. He's given it to Diaz, who's been given a little bit of room to explore down the left hand side. Plays it to Grealish. Again, Dumfries squares him up, and Grealish just takes a little bit of time on the ball, fades one way and then the other, but still has the ball just in his feet, and then he'll go across pitch. That's a nice ball, actually. Good switch of play towards Man City, and ball out wide to Doku on his right foot, dinks the ball into the area. This is a decent one to Grealish, falls now to Rodri. Will he strike it first time? No, he takes a touch, gets the ball down, thinks about going out wide, but Dumfries is equal to him. He probably didn't really know what to do there, Rodri. He found himself so far advanced. Ball in now. It's into the middle of the park. It was a ball from Gvardiol looking towards Gundogan. It's not the best header of the ball, and his header was straight into the arms of a welcoming Jan Sommer, and that was another good chance for Man City. Well, would you believe it, from Manchester City's point of view, on the one occasion when there's a really good ball, he might have had his left foot offside there, actually, Gundogan, but Haaland should be there. If Haaland's in that central position attacking that same header, I think he would have done a little bit better, but it's Gundogan's header straight down the middle and straight into the arms of Jan Sommer.
Yeah, it was a poor effort on goal, that from the German. Signed on a free from Barcelona after leaving there just last year. He captained the new camp team and did fairly well, and I don't think Pep Guardiola ever really replaced him. So he decided the easiest thing to do would just be bring him back. It's a loose challenge there from Bastoni on Foden. Foden takes a tumble. It was a very late from the Italian centre-half. Man City will restart with a free kick, which Rodri will want to take quickly. The referee isn't really having any of that. He wants to just speak with the players. It was a pretty rash challenge on Phil Foden there, who just got away from Bastoni. Bastoni then lunged in late. I think, like you said, tired legs maybe played a little bit of a part in that. But Man City will restart with a free kick.
Yeah, chance here for City in the last 30 seconds of regulation play. I can't think there'll be more than 3 minutes of added time, but it's been taken short into Doku.
Doku phased one way, then the other. Ball into the box, deflected out wide. And it's going to be a corner kick to Man City. It was deflected off Mkhitaryan, who just lunged at Doku. It was a bit of a mixed match between Mkhitaryan and Doku on that left-hand side, but he does well, does the Armenian experienced midfielder. In-swinging ball now from Phil Foden. Referee just stops a second because a Serbian Haaland having a right old wrestle at the back post, so they're just checking each other are all good to continue. In-swinging ball towards Foden into the middle of the box, looking for Ruben Diaz, but the ball's headed away. Comes to Rico Lewis, but his clearance is really poor, and Taremi had a chance there to get the ball forward, but it was a terrible ball, and Ederson able to quickly rush out of his goal and collect it and restart play, giving it to Rico Lewis. It was nearly won there again by Taremi, who again been pretty absent in this game so far. There are 4 minutes of additional time, and Man City coming forward now with Phil Foden, but Bastoni does really well, gets the right side of the ball and comes away with the ball. Taremi now, his legs have absolutely gone, and he's just collapsed to the floor in a heap after giving the ball away. I'm not sure quite how he's remained on the pitch for so long and why Inzaghi has not made a change now, because the Iranian just looks dead on his feet.
He does, he looks knackered, but Inzaghi was furious there because he felt one of his players was shoved off the ball just as that ball was headed out. And Inter were expecting a free kick, but it ended up just being a throw to Man City.
Which they take quickly now. Gvardiol gets the ball at his feet, plays it to Rodri. Rodri has Grealish to his left, and then a plentiful amount of options to his right. One of them is Rico Lewis, who he finds with a nice lofted ball. Lewis out wide to Doku, thinks about playing the cross on his left, but instead checks inside. Then takes on Augusto, does really well, the Brazilian fullback, and stops the cross. So that will be another corner kick to Man City. A fair few corners so far this game, but not really many effective ones.
No, there's not been too many where Sommer or his defenders have had any kind of real sort of moment of panic that the ball's heading straight for a Man City player. But this one from Foden's got to be good. We've still got 2.5 minutes to play.
We do indeed. Foden with another in-swinging corner. Most of these tend to end up towards the middle of the 6-yard box, which this one does, but it's headed away by Martinez. It was Ruben Diaz again who was looking to get on the end of that one. And then the flicked ball in was just left by the Man City players because they were all offside, Foden being one of them, and Sommer recollects the ball. Haaland went down again after a challenge from a Serbia off the ball, and them two exchanging a few handbags, but play waved on. Ball given away by Mkhitaryan though. Rico Lewis heads it down towards Jeremy Doku, but the Belgian winger is lashed out there at Mkhitaryan, and that'll be a free kick after Mkhitaryan and Bastoni just kind of out-muscled the Belgian winger, and Doku, clearly frustrated with that, kicks Mkhitaryan.
He does, but this is seconds wasted here from City that will certainly play into the hands of Inter. Just to say very quickly that in injury time, PSG have got a late winner. Again, I say it's likely to be a late winner, and it's Mendes, Nuno Mendes with the goal for PSG, and we did hear of a potential penalty for Dortmund against Club Brugge, but I'm not sure if that penalty has been given in the end or not. Dortmund still leading 2-0 in that game, and it has just finished at Celtic Park. Celtic hammering Slovan Bratislava by 5 goals to 1, but here at Etihad we've still got just over a minute of injury time, and here come Inter.
Yeah, it was a ball forward from Mkhitaryan looking for Taremi, but Akanji does well to get in front of it, and then Taremi, out of frustration, gives away a foul. Man City restart quickly. They want to get on the front foot here. Ball into Rodri. He's pressured, but again, so calm, and he's able to just keep hold of the ball. Ederson then plays a low ball towards Doku. That's a nice one. Doku's fouled there by Augustin, but the referee waves play on. Now it's Grealish, who's dropped deep, looking to drive at the Inter defence, which he's done fairly well so far. He's been one of the better Man City players, I think, tonight. So good performance from him. Goes back to Gvardiol, then Ruben Diaz. Diaz then wide again to Akanji. About 30 or so more seconds to play of additional time before this one is over. I mean, both teams have played pretty well tonight, I want to say. I think Inter have probably just edged it for me in terms of the better team.
Well, I think Inter have got what they wanted from this game, which was a draw. I think if you'd have said they can have a draw before the game, but let's not speak too soon, because here comes City now with Lewis and Doku.
Yeah, Doku boards the box towards Gundogan, and his header is agonisingly over the bar. That was the chance to win it there. He's had 2 chances now with a header, and both have been pretty poor attempts.
And is it for the second time in the last few minutes? Has he robbed the ball here from Haaland? Let's have a look here as Doku puts this ball in. If Gundogan's not there, well, no, there's a defender in the way as well, so I'm not sure it reaches Haaland on this occasion. But Gundogan, I mean, it's not a striker. He's not someone who's getting into the box as regularly as someone like Haaland, but I still think he should do better with that header.
Yeah, he should indeed. That was the chance to seal all 3 points here at the Etihad. And it is full time there, so it's finished Manchester City 0, Inter Milan 0 in the opening game of the Champions League.